she's so stupid. Well, on my team game, I thought I was going to win everything today. I was so excited. Nope. One more penny. They're dragging it out. Okay, let's get going. We're going to just listen to some verses again. Some chapters. Not that many chapters. I'm going to look at my new book while we're live. So, I'll do a flip through later. I ordered it yesterday. It came today because I had free Prime from 1 month. Usually after I get my um usually after I get my things I ordered, I usually cancel it. There's some chips on my desk. No, I'm not gonna eat them. There you go. Okay. I bought the $4 book and the $9 book. See which one I like the best. Give one to the other one. The other book comes Sunday. So I want to look at it while you're looking at that. And no, I'm not going to start cloning it now. No, I have to do a public one. Okay. Let's get started. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, Jehovah, for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. And thank you for what you did for us in past, present, and what you will do in the future. I like to say, and she probably will see this eventually, Keely, I'm giving you my heart goes out to you. Because I know how it is to lose our mother and lose our daddy. And it's hard at the beginning. But sweetheart, it will get better. Because he wants you to move on. But yes, you can, of course, grieve. Of course, grieve. And let's, Jehovah, please help Healing, give her mental and physical strength in her family, mental and physical strength to get through the next hurdle in their life. And please let Kristen sleep good this morning. So I'm going to try to be quiet as best as possible. She needs sleep. The dog, wait, she's the one that wanted the dog out here. So please let Kristen sleep a while. Give her mental, physical strength to get through her hurdle in life. Let her move on with life. Heck, maybe find someone new in her life. But divorce first. Please continue. Jenny's surgery went well, and I think she will heal well. The knee was not as bad as they thought. It was just a little tears long as big as the pinky. The doctor said it was a little tear. Continue to help Louisa with her knee and Jenny with her knee. Everybody involved with the fires in Los Angeles, and give physical and mental strength to everybody involved, the casualties, the injuries, the workers, every single worker. And help Aunt Rose recover from her strokes, and Brother Taylor's, I'm sorry, his name's Rick. Rick Taylor's, I keep saying wife. Rick Taylor's sister, who also had strokes. Please help those two ladies out. Give them both physical and mental strength to get the strength back. And continue to help Tate, Cindy Lee, King Charles, Princess Kate, Jen Shannon, Danielle Fischel, and Danielle Corbin. Please help Danielle Corbin get to a doctor, get everything checked out. Maybe they can figure out something to bring her eyesight back to normal and her sugar down. She probably won't. But they all have cancer, not Danielle Corbin. She doesn't have cancer. But I'll say the names again. Tate, Cindy Lee, King Charles, Princess Kate, Jen Shannon, and Danielle Fischel. They all have cancers, different types, different stages. Please give them physical mental strength to fight them off. Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome, comes with seizures and a lot of pain. We already paid for Jenny. Well, this one is for her many ailments that she has. You name it, she has. Christina helped Tiffany with her. She's having some breathing problems. She may have COPD. Continue to help Robin Taylor. I have not heard from her. I'm getting kind of worried. She is in the hospital, so I won't be bothering her, like saying, "Are you okay?" She will come to me if she's, when she's ready. Well, actually, I will leave one comment, say, "Are you okay?" and leave it at that and just wait. Miss Diana, daughters Arnie, Vicky and family, Keely and family, Carol and family. Please help them. In Jesus' name, amen. So, 2 Kings, chapter 1 through 5.
The second of Kings. Chapter 1. After the death of Ahab, Moab revolted against Israel. It was then that Ahaziah fell down through the grating in his roof chamber in Samaria and was injured. So he sent messengers and said to them,
Go, inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, to find out whether I will recover from this injury.
But the angel of Jehovah said to Elijah the Tishbite,
Rise up, go to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria and say to them, Is it because there is no God in Israel that you are going to inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore this is what Jehovah says. You will not leave the bed on which you are lying, for you will certainly die.
With that, Elijah went off. When the messengers returned to him, he immediately said to them,
Why have you come back?
They replied to him,
There was a man who came up to meet us, and he said to us, Go, return to the king who sent you and tell him, This is what Jehovah says. Is it because there is no God in Israel that you are sending to inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore, you will not leave the bed on which you are lying, for you will certainly die.
At this, he asked them,
What did the man look like who came up to meet you and spoke these words to you?
So they said to him,
He was a man with a garment of hair and a leather belt around his waist.
Immediately he said,
It was Elijah the Tishbite.
The king then sent to him a chief of 50 with his 50 men. When he went up to him, he was sitting on the top of the mountain. He said to him,
Man of the true God, the king says, Come down.
But Elijah answered the chief of the 50,
Well, if I am a man of God, let fire come down from the heavens and consume you and your 50 men.
And fire came down from the heavens and consumed him and his 50 men. So the king sent again to him another chief of 50 with his 50 men. He went and said to him,
Man of the true God, this is what the king says. Come down quickly.
But Elijah answered them,
If I am a man of the true God, let fire come down from the heavens and consume you and your 50 men.
And fire of God came down from the heavens and consumed him and his 50 men. Then the king sent again a third chief of 50 and his 50 men. But the third chief of 50 went up and bowed down on his knees in front of Elijah and began to beg for favor and say to him,
Man of the true God, please, let my life and the lives of these 50 servants of yours be precious in your eyes. Fire has already come down from the heavens and consumed the 2 former chiefs of 50 and their groups of 50. But now let my life be precious in your eyes.
At that the angel of Jehovah told Elijah,
Go down with him. Do not be afraid of him.
So he rose and went down with him to the king. Elijah then said to the king,
This is what Jehovah says. You sent messengers to inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron. Is it because there is no God in Israel? Why did you not inquire of his word? Therefore, you will not leave the bed on which you are lying, for you will certainly die.
So he died, according to the word of Jehovah that Elijah had spoken. And because he did not have a son, Jehoram became king in his place, in the 2nd year of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah. As for the rest of the history of Ahaziah, what he did, is it not written in the book of the history of the times of the kings of Israel? Chapter 2. When Jehovah was about to take Elijah up to the heavens in a windstorm, Elijah and Elisha went out from Gilgal. Elijah said to Elisha,
Stay here, please, because Jehovah has sent me on to Bethel.
But Elisha said,
As surely as Jehovah is living, and as you are living, I will not leave you.
So they went down to Bethel. Then the sons of the prophets in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him,
Do you know that today Jehovah is taking your master away from headship over you?
At this he said,
I already know it. Be silent.
Elijah now said to him,
Elisha, stay here, please, because Jehovah has sent me on to Jericho.
But he said,
As surely as Jehovah is living, and as you are living, I will not leave you.
So they came to Jericho. Then the sons of the prophets who were in Jericho approached Elisha and said to him,
Do you know that today Jehovah is taking your master away from headship over you?
At this he said,
I already know it. Be silent.
Elijah now said to him,
Stay here, please, because Jehovah has sent me on to the Jordan.
But he said,
As surely as Jehovah is living, and as you are living, I will not leave you.
So both of them went on. And 50 of the sons of the prophets also went and stood watching from a distance while the two of them stood by the Jordan. Then Elijah took his official garment and rolled it up and struck the waters, and they were divided to the left and to the right, so that both of them went across on the dry ground. As soon as they had gone across, Elijah said to Elisha,
Ask what you want me to do for you before I am taken from you.
So Elisha said,
Please, may I receive a double portion of your spirit?
He replied,
You have asked a difficult thing. If you see me when I am taken from you, it will happen for you that way. But if you do not, it will not happen.
As they were walking along, speaking as they walked, suddenly a fiery chariot and fiery horses made a separation between the two of them, and Elijah ascended to the heavens in the windstorm. While Elisha was watching, he was crying out, My father! My father! The chariot of Israel and his horsemen! When he could no longer see him, he took hold of his own garments and ripped them into two pieces. After that, he picked up the official garment of Elijah that had fallen off him and went back and stood by the bank of the Jordan. Then he took the official garment of Elijah that had fallen off him and struck the waters and said,
Where is Jehovah, the God of Elijah?
When he struck the waters, they were divided to the left and to the right, so that Elisha went across. When the sons of the prophets at Jericho saw him from a distance, they said,
The spirit of Elijah has settled down on Elisha.
So they went to meet him and bowed down to the ground before him. They said to him,
Here are 50 capable men with your servants. Let them go, please, to look for your master. Perhaps the spirit of Jehovah has lifted him up and then thrown him on one of the mountains or in one of the valleys.
But he said,
Do not send them.
However, they kept urging him until he was embarrassed. So he said,
Send them.
They sent the 50 men, who kept looking for 3 days but did not find him. When they returned to him, he was staying in Jericho. Then he said to them,
Did I not tell you not to go?
In time, the men of the city said to Elisha,
My master can see that the city is well situated, but the water is bad, and the land is barren.
At that he said,
Bring me a small new bowl, and put salt in it.
So they brought it to him. Then he went out to the source of the water, and threw salt into it, and said,
This is what Jehovah says. I have healed this water. No more will it cause death or barrenness.
And the water has been healed down to this day, according to the word spoken by Elisha. He went up from there to Bethel. As he was going along the way, some young boys came out from the city and began to jeer at him, and they kept saying to him,
Go up, you bald head. Go up, you gold head.
Finally, he turned
That's
around
not nice.
and looked at them and cursed them in the name of Jehovah. Then 2 she-bears came out of the forest and tore 42 of the children to pieces. He kept going from there to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria. Chapter 3. Jehoram the son of Ahab became king over Israel in Samaria in the 18th year of King Jehoshaphat of Judah, and he reigned for 12 years. He kept doing what was bad in Jehovah's eyes, but not to the extent of his father or his mother, for he removed the sacred pillar of Baal that his father had made. However, he clung to the sins that Jeroboam the son of Nebat had caused Israel to commit. He did not depart from them. Now Mesha, the king of Moab, was a sheep raiser, and he used to pay 100,000 lambs and 100,000 unshorn rams as tribute to the king of Israel. As soon as Ahab died, the king of Moab revolted against the king of Israel. So King Jehoram went out on that day from Samaria and mustered all Israel. He also sent a message to King Jehoshaphat of Judah, saying,
"The king of Moab has revolted against me. Will you go with me to war against Moab?"
To this he said,
"I will go. I am the same as you. My people are the same as your people. My horses are the same as your horses."
Then he asked,
"By which way should we go up?"
He replied,
"By the way of the wilderness of Edom."
The king of Israel then set out with the king of Judah and the king of Edom. After they journeyed round about for 7 days, there was no water for the camp and for the domestic animals that were following behind them. The king of Israel said,
"How terrible! Jehovah has called these 3 kings only to give them into the hand of Moab."
At that Jehoshaphat said,
"Is there no prophet of Jehovah here, through whom we may inquire of Jehovah?"
So one of the servants of the king of Israel answered,
"There is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who used to pour out water on the hands of Elijah."
Then Jehoshaphat said,
"The word of Jehovah is with him."
So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. Elisha said to the king of Israel,
"What do I have to do with you? Go to the prophets of your father and to the prophets of your mother."
But the king of Israel said to him,
"No, for it is Jehovah who has called these 3 kings to give them into the hand of Moab."
To this Elisha said,
"As surely as Jehovah of armies, whom I serve, is living, if I did not have regard for King Jehoshaphat of Judah, I would not look at you or take notice of you. Now bring me a harpist."
As soon as the harpist started playing, the hand of Jehovah came on him. He said,
"This is what Jehovah says. Dig trench after trench in this valley. For this is what Jehovah says. You will not see wind, and you will not see rain. Yet this valley will be filled with water, and you will drink from it, you, your livestock, and your other animals. But this is a trivial thing in the eyes of Jehovah, for he will also give Moab into your hand. You must strike down every fortified city and every choice city. You should cut down every good tree. You should stop up all the springs of water, and you should ruin every good plot of land with stones."
And in the morning, at the time of the morning grain offering, water was suddenly coming from the direction of Edom, and the land became filled with the water. All the Moabites heard that the kings had come up to fight against them, so they called together all the men who could bear arms, and they stationed themselves at the border. When they got up early in the morning, the sun was shining on the water, and to the Moabites on the opposite side, the water looked red like blood. They said,
"This is blood. The kings have surely slaughtered one another with the sword. So then, to the spoil, O Moab."
When they came into the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and began striking down the Moabites, who fled from them. They advanced into Moab, striking the Moabites down as they went. They tore down the cities, and each man threw a stone into every good plot of land, filling it with stones. They stopped up every spring of water, and they cut down every good tree. Finally, only the stone walls of Kir-Hareseth remained standing, and the slingers surrounded it and struck it down. When the king of Moab saw that the battle was lost, he took with him 700 men armed with swords to break through to the king of Edom, but they were not able to. So he took his firstborn son, who was going to reign in his place, and offered him up as a burnt sacrifice on the wall. And there came to be great indignation against Israel. So they withdrew from against him and returned to their land. Chapter 4. Now one of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, saying,
Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you well know that your servant had always feared Jehovah. Now a creditor has come to take both of my children as his slaves.
At this Elisha said to her,
What can I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?
She replied,
Your servant has nothing at all in the house but a jar of oil.
Then he said,
Go outside. Ask for containers from all your neighbors, empty containers. Do not limit yourself to a few. Then go in and close the door behind you and your sons. Fill all these containers and set the full ones aside.
So she left him. When she closed the door behind her and her sons, they passed the containers to her, and she kept pouring. When the containers were full, she said to one of her sons,
Bring another container to me.
But he said to her,
There are no more containers.
At that, the oil stopped. So she came in and told the man of the true God, and he said,
Go, sell the oil and pay off your debts, and you and your sons can live from what is left.
One day, Elisha went to Shunem, where there was a prominent woman, and she urged him to eat a meal there. As often as he would pass by, he would stop there to eat. So she said to her husband,
I know that it is the holy man of God who comes this way regularly. Please, let us make a small room on the roof and put there for him a bed, a table, a chair, and a lampstand. Then, whenever he comes to us, he can stay there.
One day he came there, and he went to the room on the roof to lie down. He then said to Gehazi, his attendant,
Call this Shunammite woman.
So he called her, and she stood before him. Then he said to Gehazi,
Please tell her, here you have gone to all this trouble for us. What can be done for you? Should I speak in your behalf to the king, or to the chief of the army?
But her reply was,
I am living among my own people.
So he said,
Then what can be done for her?
Gehazi now said,
Well, she does not have a son, and her husband is old.
Immediately he said,
Call her.
So he called her, and she stood at the doorway. Then he said,
At this time next year, you will be embracing a son.
But she said,
No, my master, man of the true God, do not tell lies to your servant.
However, the woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son at the same time the next year, just as Elisha had told her. The child grew up, and one day he went out to his father, who was with the reapers. He kept saying to his father,
My head, oh my head.
Then his father said to the attendant,
Carry him to his mother.
So he carried him back to his mother, and he sat on her lap until noon, and then he died. Then she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of the true God, and she shut the door behind her and left. She now called her husband and said,
Send me, please, one of the attendants and one of the donkeys, and let me go quickly to the man of the true God and return.
But he said,
Why are you going to see him today? It is not a new moon or a Sabbath.
However, she said,
Everything is all right.
So she saddled the donkey and said to her attendant,
Go quickly. Do not slow down for me unless I tell you to.
So she went to the man of the true God at Mount Carmel. As soon as the man of the true God saw her from afar, he said to Gehazi, his attendant,
Look, the Shunammite woman is over there. Please run to meet her and ask her, Are you well? Is your husband well? Is your child well?
To this she said,
All is well.
When she came to the man of the true God at the mountain, she at once grabbed hold of his feet. At this Gehazi came near to push her away, but the man of the true God said,
Let her alone, for she is in bitter distress, and Jehovah has hidden it from me, and has not told me.
She then said,
Did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, You must not give me a false hope?
He immediately said to Gehazi,
Wrap your garments around your waist, and take my staff in your hand, and go. If you encounter anyone, do not greet him. And if anyone should greet you, do not answer him. Go, and place my staff on the boy's face.
At this the boy's mother said,
As surely as Jehovah is living, and as you yourself are living, I will not leave you.
So he got up and went with her. Gehazi went before them and put the staff on the boy's face, but there was no response. He went back to meet Elisha and told him,
The boy did not wake up.
When Elisha came into the house, the boy was lying dead on his bed. He went in and closed the door behind them both and began to pray to Jehovah. Then he got up on the bed and lay down on the child, and put his own mouth on the boy's mouth, his own eyes on his eyes, and his own palms on his palms, and kept bent over him. And the child's body started to grow warm. He walked back and forth in the house, and he got up on the bed and bent over him again. The boy sneezed 7 times, after which he opened his eyes. Elisha now called Gehazi and said,
Call the Shunammite woman.
And she came in to him. Then he said,
Pick up your son.
And she came in and fell at his feet and bowed down to the ground before him, after which she picked up her son and went out. When Elisha returned to Gilgal, there was famine in the land. The sons of the prophets were sitting before him, and he said to his attendant,
Put the large pot on, and boil stew for the sons of the prophets.
So one of them went out to the field to pick mallows, and he found a wild vine and picked wild gourds from it, filling his garment. He then returned and sliced them into the stew pot, not knowing what they were. They later served it to the men to eat, but as soon as they ate from the stew, they cried out,
There is death in the pot, O man of the true God.
And they could not eat it. So he said,
Bring some flour.
After he threw it into the pot, he said,
Serve it to the people.
And nothing harmful was in the pot. A man came from Baal Shalisha, and he brought the man of the true God 20 loaves of barley bread made from the first ripe fruits, as well as a bag of new grain. Then Elisha said,
Give it to the people, so that they may eat.
However, his attendant said,
How can I set this before 100 men?
To this he said,
Give it to the people, so that they may eat. For this is what Jehovah says, They will eat and have some left over.
At that he put it before them, and they ate, and they had some left over, according to the word of Jehovah. Chapter 5. Now Naaman, the army chief of the king of Syria, was a prominent man who was held in esteem by his lord, because through him Jehovah had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty warrior, although he was a leper. On one of their raids, the Syrians had taken captive from the land of Israel a little girl who became a servant to Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress,
"If only my Lord would visit the prophet in Samaria, then he would cure him of his leprosy."
So he went and reported to his lord, telling him what the girl from Israel had said. Then the king of Syria said,
"Go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel."
So he went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of garments. He brought to the king of Israel the letter, which read,
"Along with this letter that has come to you, I send my servant Naaman, so that you may cure him of his leprosy."
As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he ripped his garments apart and said,
"Am I God, to put to death and to keep alive? For he is sending this man to me, telling me to cure him of his leprosy. You can see for yourselves that he is seeking a quarrel with me."
But when Elisha, the man of the true God, heard that the king of Israel had ripped his garments apart, he at once sent word to the king.
"Why did you rip your garments apart? Please let him come to me, so that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel."
So Naaman came with his horses and his war chariots and stood at the entrance of the house of Elisha. However, Elisha sent a messenger to tell him,
"Go, wash 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be clean."
At this, Naaman became indignant and started to leave, saying,
Here I said to myself, he will come out to me and stand here and call on the name of Jehovah his God, moving his hand back and forth over the leprosy to cure it. Are not the Abana and the Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Can I not wash in them and become clean?
With that, he turned and went away in a rage. His servants now approached him and said,
"My father, if the prophet had told you to do something extraordinary, would you not do it? How much more then, since he only said to you, 'Wash and be clean'?"
At that, he went down and plunged into the Jordan 7 times, according to the word of the man of the true God. Then his flesh was restored, like the flesh of a little boy, and he became clean. After that, he went back to the man of the true God, he and all his entourage, and he stood before him and said,
Now I know that there is no God anywhere in all the earth but in Israel. Now accept, please, a gift from your servant.
However, Elisha said,
"As surely as Jehovah, whom I is living, I will not accept it."
He urged him to accept it, but he kept refusing. Finally, Naaman said,
If not, please, let your servant be given 2 mule loads of soil from this land. For your servant will no longer offer a burnt offering or a sacrifice to any gods other than Jehovah. But may Jehovah forgive your servant for this one thing. When my Lord goes into the house of Rimmon to bow down there, he supports himself on my arm, so I have to bow down at the house of Rimmon. When I bow down at the house of Rimmon, may Jehovah please forgive your servant for this."
At this he said to him,
"Go in peace."
After he departed from him and had traveled for some distance, Gehazi, the attendant of Elisha, the man of the true God, said to himself,
"Here my master has spared this Syrian Naaman by not accepting from him what he brought. As surely as Jehovah is living, I will run after him and take something from him."
So Gehazi chased after Naaman. When Naaman saw someone running after him, he got down from his chariot to meet him and said,
"Is everything all right?"
To this he said,
"All is well. My master has sent me, saying, 'Look, just now 2 young men from the mountainous region of Ephraim, from the sons of the prophets, came to me. Give them, please, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments.
Naaman said,
Go on, take 2 talents.
He kept urging him, and he wrapped up 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and gave them to 2 of his attendants, who carried them before him. When he reached Ophel, he took them from their hand and put them in the house, and sent the men away. After they left, he went in and stood by his master. Elisha now said to him,
Where did you come from, Gehazi?
But he said,
Your servant did not go anywhere.
Elisha said to him,
Was my heart not there with you when the man got down from his chariot to meet you? Is it a time to accept silver, or to accept garments, or olive groves, or vineyards, or sheep, or cattle, or male or female servants? Now Naaman's leprosy will stick to you and your descendants forever.
Immediately he went out from before him a leper, white as snow.
And that's it. I apologize. I probably fell asleep. You probably heard me snore. I apologize. Okay, Carol. Carol, I apologize. I did not see you. I will definitely pray for you. Jehovah, please let Carol and the family, if they go to Florida, let them go get to Florida safely. Have a safe holiday there. A safe vacation there. And let them get home safely as well. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, let's see about the chapters. Oh gosh, she has a lot. It has me reading a lot. That's okay. Matthew chapter 2, 5 through 10. Let me highlight it all. Oh my gosh. Well, it has 11. Oh, it has 11 done as well. Alright, so this is Matthew chapter 2, verses 5 through 10. They said to him in Bethlehem of Judea, Judea, for this is how it has been written through the prophets. And you, O Bethlehem, of the land of Judah, are by no means the most insignificant city among the governors of Judah, for out of you will come a governing one, who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod secretly summoned the astrologers and carefully ascertained from them the time of the stars appearing. When sending them to Bethlehem, he said, Go make a careful search for the young child, and when you have found him, report back to me, so that I too may go and do obedience to him. After they had heard the king, they went their way, and look, the star they had seen when they were in the east went ahead of them until it came to a stop above where the young child was. On seeing the star, they rejoiced with great joy. That means that that means that they found that they knew where Jesus was. He kind of now Luke chapter 3, 4 through 11. Carol, you gotta not so much of these long ones. Okay, I highlighted it all. Let's see, so Luke chapter 3, verses 4 through 11. Just as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet, a voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of Jehovah, make the road straight. Every valley must be filled up, and the hill leveled. The crooked way must become straight, and the rough ways smooth in all flesh. In all flesh will be see, and all flesh will see the salvation of God. So he began to say to the crowds coming out to be baptized by him, you offspring of vipers, who has warned you to flee from the coming wrath. Sorry for my stumbling. Therefore produce fruit that benefit repentance. Do not start saying to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father, for I say to you that God is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones. Indeed, the axe is already lying at the root of the tree. Every tree, then, that does not produce fine fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. And the crowds were asking him, what? Then what we do? In reply, he said to them, let the man who has 2 garments share with the man who has none, and let the one who has something to eat do the same. Yes. Oh. Carol, I said the prayer for you. And if you can please let me know when you get there. Secretly. And so that's going to be it. And I'm going to go do the verse of the day. Once again, I'm sorry. I love you guys. Love. Don't judge. Don't hold a grudge. Peace out.